I mean, militarily, we've wiped them out. They have no military left. It's all the Navy's at the bottom of the sea. The Air Force is never going to fly again. We've got an amazing military. Now they have to cry uncle. That's all they have to do. Just say, we give up. We give up.
All right, let's go to Mike Hanna at the White House. Mike, so we have heard from Trump there. He did speak for quite a while. What was he saying to the reporters that were in that room? And of course, all of this came off the back of a phone call with the Russian president.
Well, he's repeating that often repeated phrase that Iran must give up all nuclear ambitions. The point of puzzlement is, what does he exactly mean by that? Can Iran maintain its nuclear program for peaceful purposes, or is he speaking about weaponized nuclear capacity? This has not been made clear by President Trump. But as you say, yes, he spoke to the Russian President Vladimir Putin, and Iran was discussed in that call as well as Ukraine. President Trump saying that we're going to come up with a solution relatively quickly. He said that President Putin offered to help the U.S. with what he says was Iranian enrichment, but he said he told President Putin he would prefer that President Putin get a ceasefire going in Ukraine, as that would be far more important to him. But saying as well, regards Ukraine, that he thinks that a ceasefire there is a possibility. So President Trump continuing with the single issue that Iran has got to give up its nuclear ambitions. Otherwise, there can be no settlement, there can be no agreement. And in fact, it would appear the U.S. will not commit to further talks should that particular point not be addressed by the Iranians.
And Mike, US gas prices have now climbed to a 4-year high. How is that impacting your average American?
Well, it just means you're spending more money. I filled up my car about 4 months ago. I filled it up now, and it was 20% more expensive. That's a one-fifth increase in the price of gas over a few months. So it's not just measuring in years, it's measuring in very recent time, roughly since the beginning of the conflict with Iran. So this has a massive impact on Americans economically, as well as emotionally, given the fact that they were promised that the price of living would be kept down under a Trump administration.